We're live with Chris at the Molly Brown House.
Hi, everybody on Facebook. Everybody, you're live too. So we're going to go ahead and try to communicate with Miss Margaret Brown and see if she'll come through and speak to us. Molly Brown House, fourth investigation. We are doing Afterlife of Margaret Brown. Here we go. First group, by the way. Technicians assist. Hi, what's your name, please? Thank you. She's allowing us to continue. Hi, Mrs. Brown. Thank you so much. Thank you for letting us be here again tonight. We're going to go around the room and tonight. We'd like to learn more about you here too. Once we know. Okay, so we'll just run around the room really quickly and ask questions. I'm going to start with you. Do you have a question?
What was her favorite memory or room in this house?
Probably this one. Probably this one here. She liked it on Sunday mornings. Question? I did. She said, question?
Yes, if you had to live your life again, what would you have done differently?
More space. More space. Question?
Was it scary when the boat was sinking?
Terrifying.
Was it amazing being on the Titanic?
At first. She will sing it at first. Understood, understood. Thank you. Any questions? Question?
Yes. Did she fulfill her life's purpose when she was here? What was her spiritual lesson?
Let's go to part on that.
Okay.
Did you feel that you fulfilled your life purpose while you were here? Good question. She's still searching. She said she's still searching. And what was the second half?
What was her purpose?
They're asking her in life. What would you say your main purpose was in life, Margaret? I didn't get it. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I don't have
I'm sorry. What was that?
I don't have a question.
Oh, that's okay.
I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Her great-granddaughter said to say hello. She was on Facebook.
Your great-granddaughter wants to say hello to you. Hello. There we go. Hello.
Chris is
Hello.
talking to Margaret Brown.
Question?
We're doing fundraising, to restore.
I'll let her know.
Restoration. Where should it be focused? Is there a particular area should have focused?
Mrs. Brown, we are doing the restoration, as you know. Where would you like the money to be focused? Where would you like to see that go? Charity.
Done.
Charity. That's her. Yes. Thank you. And she told me to take care of myself while we're at it. That's okay. I'm okay. Thank you very much. Yes.
How old were you when you died?
How old were you when you passed? What year? Question?
Do you know if I was there on the Titanic?
It would have been considered the basement. Do you understand?
Well, not.
Saw you on some sort of bridge. Talking about saw you on a bridge. Question? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What was her favorite trip that she did?
Seattle. That's an interesting. I would have thought Egypt or something. Seattle. Question?
Do you like kids?
Yes, yes. 2 yeses. Yes, yes. And then she laughed. Isn't it late for you? That's great. Questions, anyone? Do you have a Facebook question?
I don't have any Facebook questions. He's talking with Margaret Brown now. If anyone has any questions, please ask.
Anybody? Okay, well, Mrs. Brown, we're going to go ahead and shut down this session, but I want to thank you again for coming through. We do have several more groups coming through that would love to speak with you. So please continue to speak with us, and please continue to show yourself if you see fit. Thank you. Goodbye. Session 1 down. Hold on, I want to snap a picture up in the corner here because it has just been going crazy while we were doing that. I've been watching them. Quick picture. Oh, yeah.
Which is interesting, because I'm not getting anything.
Here you go.
It doesn't seem to
I
capture
was.
much.
I saw stuff flying around.
Oh,
on my
lots
screen.
and lots of orbs. Look at
I
that.
see lots of stuff flying around, but when the picture actually
Trying to
snaps,
capture it.
it's not
Are you
flying.
using a phone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see them more on the phones, but it's harder to
Right.
capture. It tries to autocorrect before it actually does it.
I saw where you put some of these on Facebook.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. A couple more quick pictures here.
Okay, everyone,
Oh,
we're gonna.
Guys, I got to show you a great one I just got. It's actually in motion. I believe this is Mrs. Brown. I would,
Can I ask you how this happened?
sure.
How I got a picture of you behind me?
Well, that just doesn't make sense. You see it moving?
Oh, yeah.
I'm facing this way, and I
Wow,
had it in
that's-
pictures. All the other ones were
It's
right
actually
there.
moving. We have it in motion.
Let's see that.
A lot of people ask if you can tell if an orb is dust or moisture or whatever the case might be. This one's actually
I didn't see it
moving.
until I pulled it up to look at what I had.
So, Chris, for next time, Erica wants to know if she felt like the sinking was planned.
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, we can definitely ask that.
Yeah.
Hang around for the next group. We're going to see who asked that question, if we can maybe get that to come
And then
through.
also, does Molly still visit her summer house?
Oh, good question. Wow, love it. That's great. We will definitely ask that. So when you're using the smartphones, you can actually see them move, but they're hard to capture. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit.
I
It's really
was-
interesting.
Taking a picture, and I couldn't get a picture of it, but like I saw orbs all flying around.
Uh-huh. Interesting, interesting. Let me take one more up here.
I'm so
They're still here.
fascinated about that one.
Yeah, let me take a look at that. Did you see this over here, this picture?
No.
These are all the pictures that I was taking, and then when I pulled it up, I had that.
And I'm sitting
He's
Yeah.
right here.
So interesting. This is a picture of Chris, looking like he's almost standing in front of the window. But as you have seen him live this entire time, he has
I
not moved
promise.
from this chair.
I've been here the whole time.
I'll put this on
Very
Facebook for you, because that
interesting.
is crazy. Look, he's even standing.
I see that.
I know,
That's great.
but look at that. He's even
And Kristen,
sitting
he's taken
in this showed
pictures of
building
orbs in Molly
by the
or
window.
Margaret Brown's bedroom.
And it's really interesting, guys, everybody. Basically, what's happening here is that when we do the events here, Mrs. Brown, Margaret, seems to really focus her energy as far as showing herself up in this area. And when we ask her to do it, probably because the first time I came in, I said, can you show us something over here? And from that point forward, she's always shown us herself and whoever else is with her right up here. And it's also interesting to note that we did have JJ come through. And now you were asking about the Titanic, being on the Titanic. Did you feel like you'd ever been there before?
Yeah, so ever since I was, I think like 5, I used to talk about it, and wasn't allowed to watch TV or anything, and I could remember, still to this day, I'll have like flashbacks, certain things will bring it up.
It's very interesting. My mother and I both have that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I've met a couple people who I'm getting the chance.
We have a whole soul
Yeah, so
circle
I
of
don't know,
people.
we're all like kind of coming to
I think it
contrast with
is.
each
I
other.
think it is.
There's an orb in
Yeah, you definitely got one there. He got one right here.
I'm just switch groups.
Oh, we're switching groups, guys. I will see you on the next time around. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
I'll
Thank
send
you
you
very
that
much.
picture of my mom.
Yes, please do. I'll talk to you all upstairs too. Thanks. Still here. We're going into the second group now. I'm going to close up the box for now. And if you guys can tell, it's warm. It's hot tonight. I am sweating. I'm dying. But that's what you get in a house in the 1800s. Come on in. We'll turn on the lights really quick just so everybody can find their way in.
Oh, sure. No, you're good.
Jill wants to know if she can ask something about the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to get these questions in for everybody. Hi. So guys, we are doing a live interactive ghost hunt with Facebook tonight. We have Facebook Live. You guys okay being on camera? Is everybody okay? So say hi to everybody here. This is group number 2.
Facebook Live. What's up, world?
We're doing our second ghost hunt. We had a great first session, so we are hoping for another good session. I'm going to tell you right now, Mrs. Brown is here. She's extremely happy we're here. She loves it. One of the questions that came through that really made me feel good is someone asked, where do you want the fundraising money to go to? You know, the porch, the roof, the whatever. Guess what she said? Charity. Right off the bat, charity. That's where she wanted to see it go, and it was very clear. So when Mrs. Brown comes through, for whatever reason, I think because we were just saying this, the first time that I ever sat here and talked to her, I was aiming up here with my camera talking. And now, this seems like the area where she likes to bring everybody through right up here. So what I'd encourage you to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the lights, or if we could turn off the lights, snap pictures up in this area, and we're going to see what we can get. Here we go.
You mean all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Take your phone out, camera out, whatever you got, and just start snapping some pictures. Mrs. Brown, we're going to take some more pictures. This is our second group. I'd like to introduce you to them. They come here to speak with you as well. We'd love it if you wouldn't mind showing yourself right now. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Say cheese.
Thanks for letting us in.
Oh, guys, look at this.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Right off the bat. I'll show you. Here we go. See all of them?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Look at that.
I don't know what I'm looking
Oh,
at.
wow.
See all the orbs?
Oh,
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
The bubbles?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the spirit energy right there. Coming through.
Okay,
Where you get to see that.
awesome.
Lots of activity here
Lots
in
of
Margaret's bedroom.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown, for coming through. We really appreciate
Wow.
that. Thank you so much.
So Felicia's on, Charles, Kelvin's back, Joni, Heather.
Hey, everybody. We're having a great time at the Molly Brown
Tell them
House
it's
tonight.
cool.
Ooh, look at this one, guys. Sorry, I get excited about these things. We got so many, but I love these that have color. And this is probably Mrs. Brown. She's the strongest by far. Look at this color. It's almost like a rainbow. When she comes through, you can really see it. You see that
This one
it's
up
got the
here?
red, white, and blue.
Uh-huh.
Which is interesting. Red, white,
Oh,
and
isn't
blue.
that interesting?
And she's actually moving. If you can see how, see that
This
streak? Yeah, the streak on the
Yeah.
side as it's moving.
Oh, that's
Mrs. Brown, that's beautiful.
fantastic.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. We
thank you.
appreciate it. Guys, we're getting some really great pictures.
Hmm.
Snap a couple more. And you can get them on your phones too. A lot of people say that they see them on their phones, but they can't quite capture them because it tries to autocorrect too quickly.
Yeah.
There's a bunch. But yeah, she's definitely coming through.
Hmm.
Did you get some? Yep.
Oh.
Tons and tons and tons,
Does she
guys.
like all the people in her house? Is she?
We're going to ask her.
Yeah.
Yes, Melissa, we're seeing tons of orbs. Maybe Chris can show
Oh
a
my gosh.
picture
You just
that
want
he
to see a
just
quick
took.
picture?
Yeah, let's show a
This,
quick
and
picture.
this isn't even the most we've had. This is just one little picture. Let's see if I can show it here. This is how Mrs. Brown shows herself. She brings her friends with her, acquaintances, family members. Yeah, it's incredible, and just so many different colors that come through. It's really amazing. But what I'd really like to do, if you guys are up for it, do you want to speak to her directly?
Certainly.
Oh, let's do it. Okay, I'm going to sit right here behind you. Excuse me.
So if anyone has any questions, think about them now, because I think we're gonna, after this particular session, we're gonna go over and visit Mama Moon is she in JJ's bedroom?
I believe she is.
Yeah, so we'll go visit her next.
Melanie, what I'm going to have you do for everybody in Facebook world is I'm just going to have you ask their questions for them.
Okay.
What their name is and what they have to ask. Mrs. Brown, I'll explain what we're doing before we start here. This is group number 2. Here we go. It is kind of like a surprise party, you're right. Technicians assist. Who's with us right now, please? Thank you. We're going to go ahead and try to reach Mrs. Brown again and anyone else she'd like to bring through. Is that all right? Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're just going to go ahead around the room and ask questions. And thank you for showing yourself so beautifully. We appreciate that. Thank you. She likes this. She likes it. I'm going to have you start, Melanie.
Okay, so the first question is from Erica, and she wants to know if she felt like the sinking was planned.
Margaret, I did.
Oh,
Very
interesting.
clearly, I did.
Hope you heard that, Erica. She said that she did think it was planned.
It's not all sunshine.
Hmm.
Very interesting. Question. It's okay if you don't. We're just going to run. Do you have a question?
Is JJ still truly the love of your life?
That's a lie. She said
Oh,
that's a
she said
lie.
that. Wow.
She screamed it too. She said that's a lie. She's okay now though.
Okay.
But
Did she like living in this house in Denver?
Christian hope, something about Christian hope. Very interesting the way she put that. It's a Christian hope. Question?
She like animals?
Do you like animals? Yes.
Dogs?
I do. I do.
Giraffes.
She saw many. Saw many.
What was her favorite place to visit or travel to?
What was your favorite place to visit?
Oh, my goodness.
Did you hear
Did
that?
she say Pompeii?
She
I
said
thought she said
Pompeii.
Pompeii.
She said
That's
Pompeii.
Christopher's Pompeii.
Yeah, Pompeii.
Oh, yeah.
Pompeii.
Miss
Very good.
Margaret, do you know when Christopher is here being a page?
Some days she should know. Yeah, incredible. She said incredible. Something about the number 8. I don't know what that was about. Something 8. So you like having him here? Oh, she also liked dolphins. Just so we got that
Oh,
in.
thank you. Thank you.
I did. Do we have another question on Facebook?
We have tons of questions on Facebook, actually. Michelle wants to know if she still visits her summer house.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was a man answering that. by
That was
the
a
way,
man
yes.
answering it, yeah.
She enjoys the ride.
Oh, interesting.
And she's something about music there. Music. Another question very quickly?
So, Jill wants to know if she's able to travel to different realms or does she remain in the house?
She travels everywhere. She just got here. She travels everywhere.
Does she like to
And
dance?
she's currently in the house. It's very important.
Does she like to dance?
Do you still enjoy dancing? Margaret, do you still enjoy dancing? Sorry, she's lost on something else. Let's come back to that. Another question, please?
Do you guys eat in the afterlife?
Good question. Do you eat where you are? Do you dine there? We always dine. Do you hear that? We always dine. That's great. That's good for me to know. Thank you. I like that.
What
Yes.
is Miss Margaret's favorite book to read?
She said the name. She said it's good size. I couldn't hear it, but I'm recording, so hopefully I got it. Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate that. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. That's fine. She said that's fine.
Margaret, do you like where you're buried? Would you prefer to be buried someplace else?
Yes. She does not want to be there. She's made that clear.
Totally, I understand. I understand. Thank you, Margaret.
It's okay. Let's try to play. Did you enjoy dancing in life, Margaret? Music. Good. She said that through the phone. She said, I said that through the phone.
Oh, interesting.
We do. We do. Not just her, we.
We, yeah.
It's not JJ though, right? No, 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 no. He said no, 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 no. That's 0. No,
Yeah.
that's not.
Did she have a favorite piece of jewelry?
It's right here. It's right here. She has it with her.
Wow.
Not physically though, correct? Like physically as we know it? Yes, it's with me. It's with me.
What was it?
Something about spinning. Something spinning. Oh, it's something. It's like a necklace spinning. I can see it. Gold spinning. It's still at her home. It's still at her home.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to combine two with Melissa and Jill. Melissa wants to know if she was scared when she was crossing over, but Jill would like her to describe the feeling that she had at the moment of her passing.
Were you frightened when you passed? No. But she did stay there for a little bit. She didn't move right away. And what was the second question?
How she felt and if she was scared.
Were you frightened? She had many thoughts that kept her there. but she knew it was time to check out. I love it. It was time to check out. Interesting way to put it. Thank you. Questions, guys?
Margaret, do you like what they're doing to your house? The refurbishment of your house?
Yes.
Terrific.
It's being redefined, she said,
Oh,
redefined.
that's awesome.
Very, very good. Excellent.
I just had a Titanic question, I can't think of anything.
Margaret, is there anything you'd like to share with us about the Titanic? Anything that, memory? Did you hear the music?
Music. It was violin music. or
Was that music from the Titanic? Was that from your memory? She took a chance when she went. She took a chance. She sees everything. Okay. She'd like to come over again. I don't know what that means.
Oh, huh.
It's going to take some time, though. Interesting. She thinks she can do it better and laugh more this next time around.
Oh, interesting.
It'd be pretty cool. Thank you. Any other questions?
Kelvin would like to know what was going through her mind during the sinking of the Titanic.
People were raving. She was so sad she had to leave everyone behind. She was so discouraged. It was impure. She called it impure. And final. She can't describe the way she felt. Did you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
So sad. Thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you. Any other questions?
Does this look like your room before?
Asked if you're about 13. She said, are you about 13?
I'm turning 11 on Tuesday.
I said, you look about 13. You need to make some changes. They had to make some changes in here. It's not exact, but she likes how it looks. Gotta go. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you, Margaret.
We'd love to communicate more. Thank you again. Goodbye. Yes, thank you. Goodbye. Bye.
So Felicia has a question that I know you can answer without hearing directly from
Yes.
Margaret. Does she like the nickname she's been given?
Oh, no. She's made that clear many times. That is not my name. Okay.
Okay, everybody, we are going to leave Chris now. We're going to go visit Mama Moon in JJ's bedroom.
Still.
Okay, we're going across the hall.
Historic buildings like so not allowed that I'm having a hard time like.
Right, you can during our events. but any other
Okay, here we are in JJ's bedroom. We were in here earlier tonight.
Now.
Yeah, as soon as you get your group, you'll start. It's just that first group.
Just the first, yep, grab us, because I went ahead and went. Of course I would, wouldn't I? Okay, come on in, guys. Okay, my group, next.
And then my group from the kitchen, you guys are gonna head into JJ's.
Everyone that's going to go into JJ's room, can go ahead and come on in.
Ready?
All right, anyone that was in the kitchen with me, head on into
All right.
JJ's room now.
Okay, we're in JJ's bedroom with Mama Moon.
All right, guys. Come on in. Before we start our presentation, I'd just like to give you a little bit of history of the room. I think it's kind of cool. This was J.J. Brown's room. Mr. and Mrs. Brown did not share a bedroom. Affluent families didn't. They had separate bedrooms. This particular room, when the house was built in 1889, was actually that has a built-in fireplace. This is how she was able to keep this room much warmer than the rest of the house. And also the alcove you see over here is where she could put a bassinet or a crib and keep the child out of the draft. Also, what's interesting about this house and this particular room is if you see the closet here, This closet opened in the back of another closet that went into the main nursery. So when Mama wanted to check on the children at night, she could go through this closet into the back of the other closet into the main nursery without having to go in the hallway in her jammies. Now, Mr. Brown liked this room real well, because if he didn't want to deal with Mrs. Brown, which was most of the time, he could hear her coming up the stairs. He would go through the back of this closet, into the other closet, into the main nursery, down the back stairs, through the kitchen, to the alley, and make it to Market Street, which was our best red light district. Mattie Silk's House of Mirrors, which was the best bordello in the West, is still down there, right across from Coors Field. If you ever have a chance, run in there. It's really an interesting place. We did have the best bordellos in the West. People from all over the world would come to our bordellos, so kind of gives you an idea. Now, these, of course, are dowsing rods. You've probably all seen them and heard them, used for many different reasons. One of the best reasons, of course, was finding water. That's what they said. They also could use them to find dead bodies, people that were missing, all these other things. Now, when I first started experimenting with them, I'll be really honest with you, I was very, really kind of naive about, how could this possibly be? But as I started to use them, I started thinking, this is kind of an interesting thing. They do seem to have an energy in them. And I didn't know if it was my energy or heat or what that made them move. But how we started to use them is that we would take them and we'd hold them up and we would start to ask questions and we would ask them to move. Mr. JJ, if you're in the room tonight, if you would please move the rods. If you would please move the rods. JJ, are you in the room with us tonight? Please move the rods. I'm holding my hands perfectly still. I'm letting the energy move. Yeah, we see Melanie over there. You like the ladies, don't you? Mr. JJ, oh, yes, that's Melanie. Yes, we know. And your daybed is behind me, right? This is one of the few pieces of brown furniture in the house. Very few pieces are left. When Mrs. Brown died in 1932, the house was a rooming house. I know, and boarding, I know that upsets you. A rooming house, I know, it upsets you. And when her children were told of her death, there was a $3,200 mortgage against the house. She was borrowing to keep herself going. She was living in the Barbizon Plaza Hotel in New York City. She was a young theatrical actress's coach. The house went into foreclosure. Her personal possessions were sold at auction for less than $500. Very upsetting. What wasn't sold at auction was given to the St. Vincent de Paul Charities. This really upsets him. And this is how we've gotten certain pieces back here in the house, but very few. Okay, I'm going to ask for a volunteer who would like to try these. Would you like to try them? Yeah. Okay. Just hold them, your wrist stiff, and kind of hold your arms out just a little bit that way so that if they cross. Okay. Questions? Anybody have a question they'd like to ask? JJ seems to want to talk.
Does anyone on Facebook have any questions?
We could get the rods to move in.
These are questions for JJ.
Yeah, I know I'm here.
You're the one making me so nervous. So I got really nervous when I came in here.
Really? A lot of energy is in this room. A lot of orbs, mists, especially right here by this chair. We pick up a lot of energy. And as you see, look how he's moving the rods towards that chair.
I like that chair.
There's something about the chair, the radiator.
This is the chair that they're talking about.
Something that didn't belong to the Browns. It wasn't theirs.
It's over there.
He may have some sort of a connection to that particular area of the room. Okay, JJ, is there something about that area? Move the rods. Move the rods. Is there something we need to know about that area? Does it have a lot of energy? With rods.
I'd like to ask him a question.
Please.
JJ, do you prefer Leadville over Denver?
You had a lot of good times in Leadville. That's where you made the money, where the mine came in. Your fortune was made. You were a millionaire. Another question, anybody?
Deborah on Facebook would like to ask JJ if he ever loved Molly.
Ah. If you loved Molly, move the rods. If you loved her. If you loved Molly, move the rods. Move the rods. Are you happy that you're buried next to each other, even though you fought like cats and dogs? It was your daughter who made that decision to have you buried next to each other and not Mrs. Brown here in Colorado. Does that upset you or make you uncomfortable?
Yes.
Move the rods, move the rods, move the rods. I think that answers it, huh?
Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? Would somebody else like to try the rods?
JJ, do you mind that there's so many people in your private bedroom right now?
Move the rods if you mind.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown, do you like it when there are a lot of women in your bedroom? Move the rods. Ooh, he's not going to tell us. Oh, there we go.
JJ, is it true that you started the fire in the stove and burned $100,000 on accident?
Mrs. Brown used to say that that was a damn good story. She loved it. Fact of the matter, yes.
Really moving.
Fact of the matter is there wasn't paper money in those days. It was all coins. So even if the money was in the, that's a good story though. A lot of people ask me about that, but no, it's some of that folklore.
Do you just like the story, JJ?
Do you like it? Do you think it's a damn good story? The way Mrs. Brown was always portrayed in the movies, The Unsinkable Molly Brown, and that she was illiterate, and she was not. She had better than basic education. She actually had a tutor for not only her two children, but for herself. She attended school 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. And when she came here to Denver, she knew to be accepted into Denver society, she would have to have better than just basic education. So she went to the Carnegie Institute in New York City, and that was one of the few schools at that time that allowed women to attend. From there, she went on to Paris to study foreign languages, and at the time of the sinking of the Titanic, she could speak 5 foreign languages fluently, one of them being Russian. And when she was on the Titanic, she actually was able to interpret with some of the women that spoke Spanish and Italian and French. She was able to tell them what side of the boat that they needed to get on, what lifeboats they needed to get into. So she was actually very helpful. And now the way she was portrayed in Titanic was that she just sat there and looked good, and that wasn't in fact true. She actually was in one of the lifeboats. They just dropped her in one of them. She was helping people going. I don't think she would have gone in the lifeboat. I think she would have stayed. But she was dropped into one, and it was swinging very dangerously back and forth, and she had enough sense to put an oar out. I know, I'm telling the story. Put an oar out and keep it from buffering up against the side of the Titanic, so when it dropped into the water, it was all right in one piece. She also had 7 pairs of woolen stockings on when she got on her lifeboat. When she got on her lifeboat, she noticed some of the women were still in their nightgowns. They didn't have shoes on. They had nothing covering their feet. She peeled off the 7 pairs of woolen stockings and gave them to the women so they could cover her feet. There was the woman in the back that was going into high. Got the mink coat from JJ, got rid of him, but kept the mink coat. Smart woman. Put it around her. Actually, when the Carpathia landed in New York Harbor, she stayed a week longer on the Carpathia with people from third-class storage to make sure they had a room to go to, money in their pocket, and a job. Mrs. Brown did a lot of things that no one ever knew about. That's right.
Everything you said, I was going to ask. Yeah. So when you said it, it was like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. She really was a woman ahead of her time. She really was. She was working for women's suffrage. She was always working for the underdog, for children, for animals. That was the way she was. She was outspoken, She was. When she had a thought come in her mind, she opened her mouth and she said what she thought it was. But it usually was from, some social injustice or something like that. So that kind of gives you an idea of being a woman ahead of her time. Okay, anybody else want to try the dowsing rods, have an experience? Okay, I know, I do it too all the time. Did you feel that energy that's in that?
Yeah,
Isn't that the
most definitely.
strange,
It is.
strange
It's
energy
very-
feeling? Okay, we're going to put you right over here. Hold your wrist stiff.
One thing, Paulette, Joni wants to know about just like kind of the process of crossing over. If you can explain like how
we cross over.
How Molly crossed over.
How Molly crossed over very quickly. She really did. When she passed, she died of what did they call it in the olden days of a stroke? They used to have a name like apoplexy or whatever it was. It was a stroke. She suffered from a lot of what she called the nerves after the sinking of the Titanic. Actually, her handwriting changed. A lot of things happened for her. She had post-traumatic distress disorder. But when she passed immediately. There was no hesitation. She absolutely did.
Do you know if anyone's ever published a real story about Margaret?
Yes, Christine Ivers. Christine Ivers. It's a wonderful book. She's from Colorado, and it's unraveling the myth of Molly Brown, and it's super terrific. It has all of the letters and documents from the family, so everything that's in that book is real, and we're trained from it. So that's great. Okay, you have a question? We ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Mr. JJ, you like the girls, don't you? I can see the way you
Thank you, JJ.
Yeah, you definitely likes you. Definitely.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
Okay, yeah. We
I'm
have,
married.
Yeah, we have to protect you. We have to protect you. Thank you so much, guys, for coming by my station. I hope you learned a few things, and I hope you're having a good time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Does anyone have any questions for Paulette on Facebook? Felicia says it's great to see you, Mama Moon.
Aw. Good to see you. Good to be with you. Okay, next group. Okay? Ready to come in?
And if you guys want to go ahead and
Go.
head on into
Okay.
JJ's room, right over here.
All right, next group. Hi. All right. Okay, before we start the presentation, we're just going to talk a little bit about this room so you get a little bit of history along with your ghost hunting. This room was Mr. J.J. Brown's room. Mr. and Mrs. Brown didn't share a bedroom. That was not uncommon for very affluent families. They always had separate bedrooms. When this house was built in 1889 by William Lang, who was the architect on this house, this room was called the Mother's Room. The reason it was called the Mother's Room is that it has a fireplace here, and the mother could make the room much warmer than the rest of the house. Also behind you there, if you'll notice the alcove. The alcove was there for a crib or a bassinet. It kept the child warm out of the draft. Also, if you notice the closets here in the house, if you lived in the city and county of Denver during the late 1800s and you had built-in closets, you were taxed by the city and county of Denver. Each closet was considered a room, and you paid a tax on it. So only very affluent families had built-in closets. Also, what's interesting about this closet, it goes into the back of another closet that goes into the main nursery. So if the mama wanted to check on the babies during the night, she could go through this closet, into the next closet, and into the main nursery without having to go out in the hallway with the jammies on. Now, Mr. Brown liked this room real well, because if he didn't want to deal with Mrs. Brown, which was most of the time, he would hear her coming up the stairs like you did from the first floor. He would go through the closet, into the next closet, into the main nursery, down the back steps, through the kitchen, to the back alley, and he would be gone. He also liked to frequent our red light district, which is Market Streets. Maddie Silk's House of Mirrors was the best bordello in the West, and that's where he would go. So that kind of gives you an idea of Mr. Brown, their relationship in this particular room. If you'll notice over here, this in fact was Mr. Brown's daybed. Very few pieces of furniture are here in the house. Reason being, in 1932, when Mrs. Brown passed away, this house was being rented out as a she had a housekeeper renting out the rooms, and she was living at the Barbizon Plaza Hotel. She was a young theatrical actress's coach at the time. The children were asked to pick up a $3,200 mortgage that was against the house. Obviously, she was borrowing to keep herself going. The children refused. The house went into foreclosure, and her personal possessions were sold at auction for less than $500. We've gotten certain pieces back because they were given to the St. Vincent de Paul Charities. So again, as you move through the house, very few pieces did belong to her. Okay, these are dowsing rods, and we all know that dowsing rods were used to find water. Sometimes they said buried bodies, treasures, different things like that. And I'll be real honest with you, when I first started using them, I was very skeptical. I thought, how in the world could you use these to do anything with ghost hunting? But I started experimenting with them, and I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to see if they'll work. And what I did is I figured that I would ask questions, and I would ask the rods to move. So what you do is you hold them up like this. Hold your wrists very stiff. Mr. Brown, if you're in the room, if you'll continue to move the rods back and forth, and just hold. Okay. Are you in the room with us tonight? If you'll move the rods, let us know. Okay. We have a lot of activity in this room, especially see this one that's moving over in the corner. This is where we get the most activity, is right there by that chair. If you guys want to look for orbs, mists, this is usually the place that we find them, is over here in this particular area. Now he's moving, see the energy moving? Moving back over this way. Behind me, the daybed. Yes, we know the daybed is yours. We definitely know, yes. And the energy is moving towards the corner. And we know you like Melanie. He's the ladies' man. He always likes the ladies. The younger, the better. Right? Yeah, we know it. We know it. Move the rods, let us know, communicate. Okay, I'm going to ask for a victim, a volunteer who would like to try this. Anybody like to try it? Okay.
Do you know what the cost was to build this house?
Actually, I know how much it cost, how much the Browns paid for it, which was $35,000, I'm sorry, $35,000. Probably it couldn't have been more than about $15,000 to build it. That was, big money in those days.
Great, that was a question from Sherry.
Okay, just move your arms a little farther. Oh, there, see, look at that energy, just like that. Okay, and just hold your wrist stiff, perfect. Questions, anybody have some questions?
Was Molly as brash in real life as she was in the movie?
Boy, that's a real bad question to ask him.
That's true.
Okay. I think that there's my opinion, I think there's a difference between being brash and being crude, okay? I believe she was a woman ahead of her time. She was very outspoken. She was always working for the underdog. She loved children and animals. And her daughter and her never got along because she would say exactly what she thought. I don't think she was coarse. I think she said what she felt.
Brutally honest.
Yes, I really think so. I really think, and again, she was a woman ahead of her time. She thought women should diet and exercise. She would tell all of her friends, don't eat anything white. Not bread, not potatoes, not sugar, not salt. That is a woman ahead. Plus, while she was on the Titanic, a lot of people don't know that she had a personal trainer. She would go down to the gymnasium and those big long, I don't know what you call them, those big long bags, she would go down and box.
Oh, punching bags.
Punching bags. She would go down and box with her personal trainer, and when the Titanic went down, it went down with her personal trainer. He didn't make it off. But she did believe women should diet. She also believed that if you had a cold bowl of oatmeal at night before you went to bed, it would expand in your tummy, kind of like Slim Fast, and you wouldn't eat so much the next day. This was a woman ahead of her time. Okay, Mr. Brown, we're not going to answer if Mrs. Brown was coarse or outspoken. Oh, he's moving the rods. I think he had a good question that came up before was, Mr. Brown, did you love Molly? You were 13 years older than her. You met and married in Leadville. Did you love her? Move the rods if you loved her.
Or could she she just knock you around?
Ooh,
Getting the energy? You feeling it?
yeah, I did that time.
You will feel it. Yeah, there you go, there you go.
So Melissa on Facebook would like to know if Mr. Brown has any regrets with how he treated Mrs. Brown. Yeah, oh boy.
He was actually sued for breach of promise. They were Irish Catholics, so of course they couldn't divorce. When they separated, they went their separate ways, but they never divorced. And somewhere along the line, he was sued for breach of promise, which is in the olden days when you say you're going to marry somebody and you renege, you could get sued for it. And he was sued for making a promise of marriage and then not following through, even though he couldn't have married because he was still married to Mrs. Brown. So it kind of shows you how things moved in that direction. Anybody else have a question? That was a good question. Anything else anybody can think of?
So was Molly kind of fit then, or was she a bigger lady? Was she tiny?
You know, that's an excellent question because the way she was portrayed in The Unsinkable Molly Brown with Debbie Reynolds, and Debbie loved that part. She'd come visit us here from time to time because her parents lived here in Colorado for a while. So a lot of people pictured her as Debbie Reynolds. Another lady by the name of Tammy Grimes, and I think I'm probably the only oldest one that ever remembers Tammy Grimes, played her part in the Broadway musical, The Unsinkable Molly Brown. And then, of course, Kathy Bates played her part in Titanic. Honest to God, I'd have to go with Kathy Bates. She was a really tall woman, 5'6".
Oh.
So she was very tall. She had a Parisian designer design all of her ball gowns. So naturally, when you walked into a room, you would see her. I mean, you'd have to look because she was so very, very tall. She did believe in working out, though, and she did watch her diet. I mean, most of the women of that time had 18-inch waists, and that's like an embroidery hoop. That was the look of the day, was 18 inches. A lot of women had 2 ribs removed on the lower part of their rib cage in order to get that in. The rest of them wore the corset, where you'd have a lady dresser come in, fit you in, walk behind you, and lace it like a pair of shoes, pick up her knee, put it in the small of your back, pull as tight as you could, make the bow. You lost your breath. And you laid on the fainting couch until you were gained. Then a lot of them had handkerchiefs with smelling salts or ammonia kind of stuffed up their cuff. So during the day when they were going to pass out, which was most of the time, they could do a quick one of these and clear their heads. That's how restrictive. In fact, some women were made sterile by those corsets. I call it Victorian contraception is what it was because they were so tight. They actually had special chairs that were made low to the ground because you could never bend this way with a corset. You could sit this way and play with your children on the floor, but there was no way you could bend at the waist. You would pass out immediately.
Well, those things are like proven to show like movable or like moving around of your bowels and your liver.
Yeah, it did. It actually did.
We went for the Halloween party we went to last year, and for like 3 weeks my ribs hurt.
Yeah, real realistic. Yeah, and they would, and everybody. I mean, from the Help on up, where that was the look of the day was the tiny waist. The more tiny, the more feminine you were. So. Mrs. Brown was like, you'll see some of the pictures around the museum here of her, but she was a very tall woman and kind of a large lady. Yeah.
What's interesting, Paulette, while you were telling that story, you've been very blurry.
Energy.
You were in perfect focus earlier, and now you're back in perfect focus. But it was very blurry during that story.
This is what we are finding through the night here.
That was a straight
the energy, the energy is moving around here. Okay, anybody else would like to try the dowsing rods? See what they get?
I'll give it a shot.
We give it a shot? All right. Thank you for doing that.
Hey, you're welcome.
The first one?
Yeah. Okay.
Sweet.
Do you want me to take your picture?
Sure. Why not? We may get something interesting. Okay, hold your wrist stiff. Kind of hold your arms out to the side so you can get a swinging.
So you want to kind of keep them, well, goodness sakes.
Yeah, Michelle is saying lots of interference. So yeah, Michelle, we're definitely getting it on our side as well.
Right, absolutely. Okay, questions? Do we have any other questions you want to ask? So we'll see if we can make things happen here.
Were you upset that a lady is holding those?
Yeah. You got it. Ooh, he likes the ladies. Always the ladies.
We're partying later.
Yeah. Oh.
I bet you he thinks you have nice legs, Shelley.
Well, yeah, I think that's affirmative. I would go.
It's
I
come
would-
up a few times.
Yeah,
In
definitely.
the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Legs?
Yeah, yeah, remember when we were staying in that other room?
Ah,
That's right.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it came up the word legs.
So,
And we're actually gonna switch groups.
we ready?
When you're ready.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye, JJ.
All right, yeah, he may be visiting you later, so.
He already promised we were having a party.
All right, okay. Thank you guys for coming by my station, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very informative.
Thank you, hope you're having a good time.
Super.
All right, perfect.
Okay, Facebook, we are going to say goodbye to Mama Moon, and we're going to go back in and see Chris, but maybe you can answer Erica's question very
Okay.
quickly. Do you think that JJ and or Margaret miss their home?
I think JJ misses it, and I'm absolutely positive that Mrs. Brown does. There were a lot of really good times here that they enjoyed as a family, so I think they both do. He never wanted her to sell the house, and she never did in her lifetime.
Great, so, oh, Michelle says bye, Mama Moon.
Bye.
And we are heading over to see Chris.
Bye-bye.
See you, Melanie.
Bye-bye.
Is because the room and the lights are out, that's kind of the darkest corner over there, and you can kind of see everything really well. So, from that point forward, for whatever reason, and thank goodness she's done this, she always shows herself on this wall, right over here. So when we turn the lights down, if you have a camera, if you get a cell phone, Mrs. Brown likes to show herself, usually in that corner by the bed, sometimes down to this corner of the wall. So we'll turn down the lights, and I encourage everybody to just snap some pictures that way. If you aren't able to capture it, if you have a cell phone, you'll see her moving through the room. You'll see actual images moving through the room. So we caught a partial apparition the last time around, right here on this wall, right underneath an orb. So turn off the lights and just give it a shot and see what happens. Here we go. Mrs. Brown, it's us again. We just want to go ahead and snap some photos, if that would be all right. Whole new group, and they'd like to capture your image if that's possible. So let's snap some pictures and see what happens. Thank you in advance. Oh, look at them. Yeah. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but really quick there.
Nice.
You guys see this?
So,
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
people on Facebook, we're back in Molly's room.
Uh-huh.
Look at that one.
Do you get to see this? Here you go.
See?
Oh, they're just flying everywhere.
They're all over the place.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting them on here coming from the ceiling down.
Once again, guys.
And up.
Lots of orbs.
Mrs. Brown, thank you again. If you could bring everybody into the room, it would be amazing before we use the telephone. Thank you.
Yeah, Christina said that she saw something
Oh,
flash by a minute ago when the lights were still on.
Oh, did you?
look at that big one. I got that even in the
Get quite a
dark.
few. Thank you, Mrs. Brown. We appreciate it.
Sweet.
Oh, let's see what we got there.
Oh, did you see that one? It just slowly dropped from the ceiling down to the bed.
Here we go. One more.
See? Oh, went out.
Oh, Lord.
Look at that. Wow.
They're at home.
They like the tripod.
Mm.
They're all over by the camera, huddled around
What
it.
is this thing?
They seem to like the tripod over there, if you can see.
Yep, lots of orbs.
Sweet. Oh, there's 3 of them.
Take one more here.
So Melissa wants to know who you think are the other orbs. So we know that Molly is here, but since there are so many,
Well, the ones that have identified themselves tonight, we definitely have Margaret. She's here. She's leading the party. JJ has slipped in a few times and made a few mentions. Nobody else has come forward and actually let us know who they are. So we've been so focused on Margaret that we really haven't asked those questions, but maybe we should. Maybe we should see who else is here. Yeah. All right. Is everybody ready to talk to her? Yeah. All right, let's do it. Okay.
okay, for Facebook, Chris is getting ready to use the spirit phone, so please post any questions you might have.
Okay. This is group 5. We're going to go ahead and have everybody ask some questions and see who's here. Here we go. Technicians assist. Who's here with us, please? Garrett's our technician, guys, just so you know, Garrett's in here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. Mrs. Brown, are you here with us as well, please? Here we are. She's happy we're here. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start asking some questions around the room. I'm gonna have, do we have anybody on Facebook right off the bat?
Sherry thinks that maybe one of the orbs might be her husband.
Okay, interesting.
That was the one that she thought flashed right when you went live.
Okay, and we can look back at the pictures and see what we got on that. Interesting. Questions?
Who else is here with us tonight besides Molly?
JJ's in a battle. He made that clear. JJ's in the battle. Question?
Does the word root mean anything to anybody?
Seller. Seller.
Root cellar?
Root cellar. Root cellar. To me. Molly says to me.
Oh.
Very important. Questions? And that's it. You don't believe me?
Does it bother you that so many people are in your house tonight?
No.
No.
It's a celebration. Celebration. Question? Question? Question?
Is this your house?
Was. Question?
What year is it?
Can you tell me? She said, can you tell me?
Sure, it's 2016.
Liar.
Liar.
Really?
She's lying. Question?
Are there any children here?
Spirit children. She can get some.
That'd be cool.
Sure, whoever you want to invite in, please.
Yeah.
Did you hear the Spanish?
Yes.
Interesting. Question?
So Christina wants to know if Tyler's still the technician, but I think we determined that was
Yeah, it was
Garrett.
Garrett, correct.
But Heather has a question. She wants to know if Margaret remembers Mary Sloan, who catered to her in first class.
In body, yes, in body, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's a yes.
I actually had a relative die on the Titanic. Would she have remembered a Nelson Bogey?
Poor man. Poor man. She just said poor man.
It was sad.
Locked. Locked. I don't know what locked means.
He was in the second class quarters. They got locked in, I
Locked.
think.
She said locked. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Is Nelson here with us by chance? Me. Me. Do you want to say anything?
I don't know what to say.
Say hi, Nelson.
Hi, Nelson.
Okay, so when we started talking to
Pleased to
Nelson,
meet you. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
it got very
He
blurry.
loves you.
Oh.
He wants you to look back at the paperwork. Please look back at the paperwork. It's very important.
Okay.
The paperwork.
His paperwork from the,
There's things hiding in it. Look back at the paperwork, please.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and while she was asking that question, and now you're back in.
It's important you look.
Okay.
Nelson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have you crossed over, sir? Have you gone through the light? They've established that. Yes, he has gone through. He's okay. But look at the paperwork. It's important.
Okay.
Thank you. Question?
That
She wants
was-
to help. I'm sorry. He wants to help you with something. So
Oh, okay.
you won't know today, but it's going to be in the future. Sorry, he's really talking. It's very important.
Yes.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
will look through all of it.
Thank you, Nelson. Technician says cool, so we're good.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. What about a nice long piano before you died?
I don't understand that.
The personal list. There's a long piano playing before they died.
Could she hear the piano playing? Is that what you're saying?
No, she did. She played that piano.
Margaret played the piano.
Now that's bloody creepy. Sorry, that's my grandmother, and she played the piano, then laid down and died.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Confusion. Sorry. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
That was good.
Questions? Anybody questions? Questions?
Are you happy you bought this house?
Yes. Quick yes. Did you hear that? Yes. And she said thank you for being honest, whatever that means. Thank you for being honest. Question?
Thank you.
Question? Question.
Since the house was restored, has activity increased, and does Molly approve of the restoration?
We can ask. Mrs. Brown, do you approve of the restoration of the house? She thanks everyone for it. Yes. Yes. And yes, it has become more active. So you know. Question?
I can't think of anything right
Nelson says it's good to look at you. So.
Oh, wow. So he knows I'm his relative, evidently. Long time.
Please read it.
Yes.
Said it again. Please read it.
Okay.
He's very nice. Margaret says he's very nice.
Oh.
Did you guys hear the music right there?
Yeah. They said he was quite a gentleman and everything I've read about him. He was quite a debonair guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's someone who was a teenager that she tried to help, just so you know, on the boat. She tried to help a teenager and wasn't able to. Can't remember his name. She can't remember his name. But he did die. He did die. And he was a gentleman, just so you know. Whew, it's a confusing one. Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Questions?
I was trying to hear.
Questions? But he is so happy. Nelson is so happy. Question?
Do you feel stuck in this house? Do you want to leave?
No.
Oh.
No, she said earlier that she travels constantly. She's always moving. But she does like it here. And Margaret, you do enjoy having the party here tonight, the get together, the fundraiser. It's nice.
It's nice.
Yeah. It's a wonderful thing. Yes. Questions?
So do you like big parties? Do you like to celebrate?
Mm-hmm. Is it mm-hmm? Yes. Just like she did in life. Yes.
Entertain people?
Questions?
Just wondered if there's anybody else's loved one here.
Something about the Seven Wonders, by the way. Just something about the Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders. I don't know what that was about. Sorry. I'm sorry. What was the question?
No, I just wondered if anybody else's loved ones were here.
Meeting in the house tonight. Yes.
Who?
We'll get into those upstairs. Believe me. Those will get crazy. Yes.
Names?
Yep. Yep. Let's hold off. Thank you. Questions?
I want to hear what she has to say.
She can't hear any of it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to hear what she says.
I'm sorry.
Picking it out.
Okay. Any other questions?
So Melissa wants to know if we think that the energy in the room feels heavier now with this particular group than with the other group so far tonight.
I wouldn't say heavier. It feels different, a little bit different. But I also think that it's interesting that we had somebody's relative from the Titanic come through in the room and almost take over the session. So I think that might have something to do with it. But that's great. I mean, it's just amazing. No, these
I
things.
have been feeling like for months that I was going to get some kind of message tonight.
But these things happen for a reason.
Yes.
They really do. There's no coincidences. Synchronicity
Yes.
is everything.
Yeah, and the reason
Yes.
is
So-
you need to read that paperwork.
Yes,
Yeah.
that paperwork's very important. Yeah, again, yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
So thank you. I'm going to shut this down right now because it's a little bit intense, but thank you for coming through, Mrs.
Thank you.
Brown, Nelson, everyone, thank you so much for coming through. We'll talk again soon. Goodbye. Don't.
No.
She just wants to keep talking.
The one word I got as you were talking about Molly was swam.
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 Yeah. She talked earlier about how upset she was when she had to go, the boat was moving through the bodies. That really got her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Wow, guys. That was intense.
cool.
I'm not sure.
Melissa wants someone to get you some water.
Yeah, somebody give me some water. I'm okay for right now. I'll live. I'll make it. I'll make it through. Do you guys have any questions?
Whose dress is that?
That's good. Actually, this is the person to ask in the corner here.
Is this a wedding dress or?
It's probably an evening
Oh, okay.
type thing. Wedding dresses wouldn't have been this short.
Oh, sure.
They would have been more covered.
Right.
Yep, this is a party dress. And this did not belong to Margaret. We don't own any of her clothing.
That's something we should probably ask her, is if she likes the dress on the bed. Because she probably thinks it was laid out for her. We'll have to find out.
Patrick would like to know if anyone's been touched tonight. I haven't heard this.
We did. We had a lady who was poked, she said. She was poked in the chest. And the dowsing rods, I guess, hit her a couple of times. And then JJ promised that he was going to give her a good pinch before the night was over. So we're going to see if that comes true, too.
Oh, yep.
And Mike was something pulled him down in the pantry.
Now, who's Mike?
Mike was the one who said he got swam, the word swam.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't his name Mike? It's Rick. Yeah, right there in the peach. He was touched, something touched him.
Really? Interesting. Well, so we've had a couple then. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks again.
Yeah, it's hot.
It is warm. It is warm. That's why I have my official, just so you know, my official Molly Brown House Museum fan. This is my fanning situation. So I'm going to cool myself down. I'm going to get some water for those concerned, and we're going to do some readings for people upstairs for the VIPs. So that's what we're doing. I don't know. I guess we're going to shut down now for the night, right? I guess this is kind of the end for everybody. So I want to thank everybody. Oh, and here's Mama Moon popping back in too. Hi. We want to thank everybody for watching tonight. We hope you had fun. We had an amazing time. People had some great experiences. I hope you guys got to hear a little bit of the box and everything that came through because it was just incredible. And yeah, so this is our first Facebook Live
It's great.
thing.
It's great.
And we're signing out. So let us know what you think. Let us know if we should do
Please.
more of these or not, okay?
Right. We want to know.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay,
See you next time.
bye.
Bye.